Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be installing the OEM bed light kit from General Motors for my 2019 GMC Canyon. This will also work on Chevy Colorados. I will post the part number to this kit in the description box below so you can go get it for your truck. I don't know if the part number is going to vary by year, but I'll look that up and post that down below. Now this is what you get when you order this kit. It comes with the wire harness, the two LED lights that just have two little LED diodes in each. So you got two of those, one for either side of the bed. And then a hardware kit with some zip ties, some little nut thingies, some screws, and that's about it. So for 130 plus shipping, that's what you get. These are all plug and play with these little connectors and locking tabs. So that should be pretty easy to install. Now, each side of the bed already has some predetermined spots. Hopefully you can see square hole there and a square hole there. That's where those two little nuts go in, and then you screw the lamps into that, and you bring the wiring up through like the side of the beds here that you bring down from underneath the bed. There should be a connector that is spare underneath your bed, typically below the driver's side headlight. I'm not sure if all trucks have them or not, so you'll have to determine that ahead of time if you want to install this on your truck. Here's the passenger side, has the same cutout area for the lights, and then you just bring the wiring up through that little hole in the bed, and then back behind here it's hollow, and you can just bring the wires up, fish them over, and hook them all up and be done with it. So you're not going to really need any specialized tools for this installation. Like I said, it's all plug and play. There's just some zip ties. These are probably 7mm GM special bolts, if I had to guess just by looking at them. So you'll need a 7mm nut driver to install those, but other than that, it's pretty simple installation. So underneath the driver's side headlight, there's this connector here, which is like the main harness for the back of the truck. Splits off. One part of it goes up, and that's for the headlight. And then there's another connector here that splits off that is empty. There's nothing on it right now. That is for the bed lighting kit. Now I'm going to pull this off with a little stud that it's sitting on. You just have to use a little flathead screwdriver on this gray part, and then you can slide the black part off, and then you can work with it a little bit easier instead of getting your hands all the way up into here. Then once you remove that connector, it's a little easier to work with. You can bring it down below and work from it a little easier. So this connector has a blank end on it that you need to remove in order to install this kit. There's a little locking tab right there in the end. Unlock it and depress the tab on the blank, and this part comes off. For the purposes of this kit, we don't need it anymore. We're going to connect right to this with our new wiring harness. Now, coming back to the wiring harness, there's 3 connectors on this. They are all identical, but there's a certain way you need to install them. So this one here is labeled passenger side. I don't know if you can read that or not, but it's labeled passenger side. It's got the longest lead on it, so I'm assuming that's for that side, right? Okay. Then there's these 2 sides that are not labeled. Now, I did a little bit of testing and figured out which way it goes because it doesn't tell you which one's which. This one here with this little short pigtail is the one that connects to the connector under the bed, and then this other one with the longer pigtail is the one for the driver's side light. We're going to feed this down through that hole in the side of the bed here, along with this long lead, and connect this side to that connector, and then this end is going to stay up in the bed because it's going to connect to the LED right there. So just leave like that much of the pigtail hanging out, but don't pull it all the way through. We're going to go back underneath the bed now. So underneath the bed, this is all just hanging out because it's just hollow behind the bed there. So this is going to be the passenger side connector, and our main connector should be right here from the harness, and then this is the one that's already in the truck, and we'll just connect that right to there. Then I'm going to reinstall this onto that stud right there to keep this in place. It just slides back on. just like that. So before I wire up the other side, I'm going to install this light and plug in this connector so that it doesn't accidentally fall down when I'm messing with the wires for the other side. So there's these two square holes here, and the kit comes with these little nut thingies, and these just pop into place just like that, and it's just a space for the threaded screw to go into. So I got one done, got the other one here. Done. So just an FYI, in order to get the light to actually fit up there, you have to trim these little protrusions that come down from the bed rails. They hang down quite low. You can see from here, this one hangs down, it's like an inch, it hangs down. So it was in the way of the bed light, so I just took some tin snips and snipped it down as much as I could in order for me to get the bed light up in there. And now there's plenty of clearance for it to go in there. So what I was just doing was trying to get these bolts threaded, and once you get them threaded, you can't do them by hand anymore. At least I can't. So I luckily have a little 7mm ratcheting wrench that I'm going to use to hopefully tighten these up. Alright, so I got this one tightened up, and just snug. You don't need to go crazy tightening these down because you don't want to break them. But that's what that looks like when it's installed. It hides up underneath the bed rail pretty well, so it shouldn't get damaged when you're throwing things in the bed here, but you know, just be aware when you are. So the next step is just hooking up this connector. This is kind of backwards because the connector's on the right side, but the wire is coming from the left, so you just have to feed it over and bring it to this right side and connect it. So I realized there's actually a little stud for this to go into, and there's a hole in the bed. You just pop it in with this little gray connector there, and then you can fish the connector back behind the light and then connect it all up. Just FYI, you can't fish the connector wire back behind the light if this is already tightened. So you have to loosen these up a little bit, let it drop, and then you can fish that connector back around to the right side. Actually, you need to tighten it up first and then plug it in, because you can't get to the screw when the connector's in place. Let's go and fish the passenger side wire underneath the bed and bring it up into the bed itself. And the next process is getting this harness that goes to the passenger side light routed underneath the bed here and brought over to this general area where you can then bring it up to the bed through a hole here, and I'll show you that in a minute. There's plenty of stuff to tie it onto. Under here there's a harness that goes all along this side right here. You can just use zip ties that are included and just bring the harness all the way over to here. Now once you have it here, you need to bring it up through this cavity here up into the bed like you did on the other side. Now you could remove the passenger side taillight and get more access. I didn't feel like doing that, so instead I fished a fish tape down from the top. I'm just going to tape it on to the end of this and pull it up through gently into the bed so I don't have to remove the taillight at all. So I just used some painter's tape to hook it on and yank it up through. Then I didn't have to remove the taillight. Now it's just a matter of popping in these two little nuts in these square holes, and then you can also install this little gray connector thing into this hole right here so the harness doesn't fall back down there, just like that. And then you can leave this dangle until you install the light. So I got this one installed, bolts are tightened up, connectors attached. Now technically I should just go push the bed light button and they should work. Let's check it out. Oh, one more thing. There's like 2 feet of slack, so I just bundled it up and zip tied it with the zip ties they provided. That way it wasn't hanging down below the truck. You can see it's even goes up there. It was a lot. So anyways, so if you come up to the front of your truck, come in the cab, you should have a light that looks like, you know, the truck with the bed, and then the light illuminates. This activates this light back here, and it should also activate these two LEDs. So we got the one on the driver's side and the passenger side works. So there you go. It's a little too bright out right now to get the full effect. I'm going to come out here later when it's dark and I'll give you a better shot. So here's what the final product looks like. The camera is not really picking it up as well as it actually illuminates, but it does a really good job of illuminating the bed and being able to see. Like, I can see all the way back to the bed and read the embossed GMC logo. It definitely lights up the bed. So when you have your tonneau cover on top of the bed and you have stuff in there and it's dark out, it will definitely help you to illuminate the area to look into. Here's a shot I took with my iPhone that more accurately represents the brightness of the bed when you're looking at it with your human eye. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Love it if you subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos. We'll check you next time. Later.